journey, the beginning. They left Missouri in early spring, just as the frost began to loosen its grip on the land. The wagon was packed with everything they'd need and a little more. Supplies they could trade, tools that carry them through. The journey stretched long before them, and every day the skies seemed wider, the landscape tougher, as if testing them. The Father John led the oxen forward with steady hands. He didn't talk much, only to give a word of reassurance to his wife, Mary, or to check in with the children. Ella and Tom huddled in the back, trying to stay warm. The West was out there, and they were going to find it. They just had to keep moving. Days turned to weeks. One night, the wind tore through the prairie, howling and whipping until it felt as though it would lift them off the earth. They huddled in the wagon, the canvas flapping like a wild thing, each of them too scared to sleep. In the morning, the ground was damp, and the air felt washed clean. But they had lost 2 oxen, the animals succumbing to the storm's fury. John's face was set, but Mary saw the tension behind his eyes. A few days later, the river loomed, swollen and fierce, more water than they'd seen in weeks. They would have to cross it. John rigged up ropes to steady the wagon, and Mary held her breath as they made their way through the churning, muddy current. Halfway across, the wheel sank deep into the riverbed, and the wagon leaned hard to one side. Mary clutched Tom tight while John worked, feet sinking into the river bottom, shoulders straining until finally, inch by inch, the wagon rolled free. They made it to the other side, soaked and shaken but whole. Then came the mountains. The rocks were sharp, the paths narrow. Ella stumbled one morning and scraped her arm against the jagged stone. John wrapped her wound as best he could, knowing that the mountains would demand more from them than the river ever had. Food grew scarce, and hunger gnawed at their stomachs. Nights were cold, and they shivered beneath thin blankets, waiting for dawn to bring warmth. But then, one evening, as the sun dipped low, the land changed. The mountains opened up to a vast valley, green and wide, stretching far into the distance. The air smelled different, fresh, sweet, almost like a promise. In the distance, a cluster of small buildings huddled together like a family at town. They stopped there, the 4 of them, taking in the sight, breathing the valley's scent deep into their lungs. John let out a long, slow breath. This was what they had come for, a place that felt like something you could live on, grow roots in. As they entered the town, they passed fields of corn and wheat, cattle grazing in the distance. A blacksmith was hammering iron, sending sparks flying, and a few children played nearby, laughing and calling out to one another. They looked at Ella and Tom, eyes wide with curiosity, and Ella and Tom looked back, hopeful smiles creeping into their faces. Mary squeezed John's hand, and he looked at her, saying the relief, the joy he'd hoped to see for so long. They had made it through wind and water, over rock and hunger. They had found a place where life pulsed, steady and sure, a town that waited with open arms, ready to welcome them in the heart of the West. This is the end of this story. As you can see, the landscapes, the paintings, the journey that our forefathers took to create and reach such a beautiful landscape. Every once in a while, humans get the chance to create something new, to create and live with a land that they never had seen before. The adventures of the past will always be and has always been in my heart and hopefully in yours. Next, I'm going to dedicate a poem to this amazing story. The poem's title is Whispers of 1856. The sun's warm light on fields so wide, where horses graze and shadows hide. We fetch our pails from river clear and laugh as footsteps echo near. Mama's bread